Today, we're going to talk about something you probably have within arm's reach right now, the ballpoint pen. And believe me, the story behind it is incredible. It's a story all about frustration, pure genius, and an invention that literally put the power of writing into billions of hands. I mean, really take a look around you. I bet you've got one on your desk, maybe in a drawer, or at the bottom of a bag. It seems so simple, right? Almost disposable. But getting to this humble little tool was a huge struggle. And its impact? Well, it changed modern society in ways you might not even realize. So, to really get why the ballpoint pen was such a game changer, we have to travel back in time. Let's picture what the world was like before it existed. A time of messy ink stains and just a whole lot of inconvenience. For hundreds of years, if you wanted to write, you were probably using a fountain pen. Now, they look elegant, sure, but what a hassle. You had to deal with inkwells, constantly dipping your pen, hoping you didn't smudge the page or, even worse, get a giant ink stain on your clothes. The tips were super delicate, and you could never really count on the ink to flow smoothly. This chart really lays it all out, doesn't it? The dream was to have a pen with ink that dried fast, that you didn't have to refill all the time, and, this is the big one, a pen that wouldn't leak everywhere. People just wanted a tool that you could rely on, something that just worked. And it's that deep-seated frustration that often leads to a eureka moment. And for one very sharp guy, it all began with a simple observation that would end up changing everything. And here he is, our hero, Laszlo Biro. He was a journalist in Hungary, so you can imagine he was very familiar with the headaches of a fountain pen. But his job also gave him a unique perspective. Every day, he watched newspapers flying off the printing presses, and he noticed something really important. He realized that the ink used for newspapers dried almost instantly. No smudges. This was it. This was the dream ink. But there was a catch. This ink was thick, kind of like paste. It would never flow through a delicate fountain pen nib. So, Biro had his magic ink, but he had no way to write with it. And his solution was just genius. Pure, simple genius. He thought, what if instead of a nib, there was a tiny little metal ball at the tip, one that could roll freely in a socket. As you write, the ball would spin, pull that thick ink from a cartridge, and roll it smoothly onto the paper. It's so simple, but it was the perfect solution. Now, having a brilliant idea is one thing, but turning that idea into something that's in every home and office on the planet, that's a whole other challenge. This was the beginning of a long, long journey from a simple patent to a global phenomenon. Yeah, this definitely wasn't an overnight success. Look at this timeline. It took over 10 years from his first clunky prototype just to get the patent filed, and then even longer to actually start making them. But once the 1950s hit, boom, the world couldn't get enough. And that path was full of problems. Biro and his brother George, who was a chemist, spent years just tinkering. The ink had to be perfect, not too thin, not too thick. And that tiny socket holding the ball, it had to be engineered with insane precision to make sure the ink flow was just right. One of the pen's first big breaks actually came from the military. See, fountain pens were a disaster for pilots. The change in air pressure at high altitudes made them leak like crazy. But Biro's pen, it worked perfectly. It became a must-have tool for Allied pilots in World War II. For them, it wasn't just convenient. It was a crucial piece of equipment. So let's talk about the pen's legacy. Because this little invention became so much more than just a handy way to write. It actually changed the way we all communicate and share information. Why did it take over the world? Well, it really boils down to these four things. It was cheap to make, so pretty much anyone could afford one. It was reliable. It wrote on almost anything, anywhere. It was convenient, no mess, no fuss. And when you put all that together, you get universal accessibility. Writing was now for everyone. This is the key point. The ballpoint pen basically democratized the act of writing. Before this, writing consistently was often something for scholars or professionals or the wealthy. This simple little invention completely leveled the playing field. And that idea, the democratization of writing, is the pen's greatest legacy. All of a sudden, a student in a classroom, a farmer keeping notes, a worker writing a letter home, they all had a cheap, reliable tool to put their thoughts on paper, to do business, to be part of the conversation. When you step back and look at it, the whole story is just amazing. It starts with one man's everyday frustration, and it ends with a simple tool that empowers billions of people all over the world. It just goes to show you how a simple, smart solution to a common problem can literally change the world. So that brings us to one last question. In our world of keyboards and touchscreens, does the pen even matter anymore? Maybe not in the same way, but its legacy isn't just about ink on paper. It's this powerful reminder that the best innovations often aren't the most complicated ones. They're the ones that make powerful things simple, reliable, and available to everyone. So the next time you pick one up, just for a second, remember the incredible story